This is the open forum session part of the day. So now you can get any questions that you haven't gotten out on the floor. We got them. You got some time now to do that, because that's what this session, part of the meeting, is for. So what questions that's still burning out there that we need to get answered? Just get a microphone and we'll go from there.
Mark Sellner from Minnesota. Is anybody aware of any litigations that has included peer reviewers when there's been litigation with respect to an audit failure?
Huh? Anybody? Jim, have you heard of anything along that line, or?
I apologize because I actually got distracted on something else, so please repeat the question.
Were there any peer reviewers that have been pulled in to litigate when there was an audit failure, and were peer reviewers that ever been pulled into the litigation?
I am not aware that has ever occurred. I'm not going to say it hasn't, but I'm not aware of any situation that's occurred.
Has anyone else in here heard of that? Had that happen in their jurisdiction? Yeah.
Alan, you could answer this as well, but what I'll point out, it would be very difficult for that to occur, because we do have a work paper retention policy, and the peer review, the administering entity, except for certain administrative papers, they're destroyed after 120 days. It's a part of the policy, and by the time the litigation occur, if a peer reviewer went in, I mean, they would have to honestly say, I can't recall, I don't know. I mean, they really wouldn't be of much help in.
Well, and that's part of the reason for the work paper retention policy.
It's probably the reason for it. So.
Anyone else? Now's your chance.
I have one question
Janice.
that was posed. Actually, this question was sent in. Are there states with peer review program providers other than the American Institute's program? Any state using any program other than the AICPA program currently?
Is anyone using a program other than the AICPA at this point in time? I know Kentucky at one time did.
Well, I know
but we
Texas
don't have any.
did,
Texas did too.
yeah.
It's the same one that Texas had. And
Minnesota does have another organization that administers peer reviews.
what?
Minnesota does have another organization in the state other than the Minnesota Society that administers peer reviews, but they don't use the AICPA standards, but they are recognized by the state board as an approved report acceptance body.
Okay.
So Minnesota does have another program.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, they do.
Can I follow up?
Sure.
Because there is a follow-up question. If that's the case, do you know what criteria was used to evaluate that program provider? If you don't know, that's okay, but
All I know is that our state rules refer to the AICPA's standards. And so any report acceptance body, if they deviate from the AICPA standards, they have to explain how they deviate. So the AICPA standards are the reference point. So I don't know what this
Okay.
other organization's standards
Are they just doing engagement type reviews, or are they actually doing system reviews
They
also?
are doing some system reviews.
Okay.
Yeah. Obviously not for AICPA members.
Right.
Okay.
Mike over here.
I know we've touched on it from a few different perspectives today, but I'd like to hear what people have to say about the PROC actually being on site to observe the AICPA oversight, the oversight approach, or whether or not the PROCs are relying on the AICPA's reports once they come out, and then perhaps making decisions to do their own oversight then if there's a problem found. And also in the intermediate years, are they going on site to review the interim review that's usually done by the state society staff? And also when they are, in other words, my general question is the scope of what we're actually doing.
Okay.
And are we going out when our state society does on-site oversight, which is a part of our program? Are the PROCs in those cases going out and being a part of that and having two oversight people there at the same time and whatever?
everyone heard the question, and basically is, what are you doing as a proc with regard to oversight when AICPA oversight comes in, or when they're doing your own internal monitoring oversight in the off years? Is there a proc member there and sort of shadowing?
Basically, it's easy that we're all agreeing that we have to do the RAB oversight. And maybe there's some rotation in that. It depends on how the state structures it. This other stuff is not quite as clear.
Right. Yes, back in the back.
We wrestle with the non-RAB oversight. As far as the Institute's oversight, we don't actually shadow them, but when they make their report to the State Society's Peer Review Committee, we're always there because we attend all of their meetings. We do get a copy of their oversight report, which we rely on, plus we hear their presentation to the Society's Peer Review Committee. As far as field oversight is concerned, we do not shadow or have not shadowed the Society members or Institute members doing field oversights. We have in the past conducted oversights ourselves on those that we identified through our monitoring the state society's process as problem reviewers. We haven't done that in some time, and we do sit in on all of the meetings and conference calls of the State Society's Peer Review Committee dealing with problem reviewers.
Okay, and I think Mississippi said that they did a internal inspection even in the year that the ICPA was coming in. I think the PROC was doing one. I think I heard him say that when he was up here on the panel. Is Wib here, or has he had to leave? Anyone else? Yes.
The AICPA has a voluntary tax review. It's out of print, but apparently it's being updated, and they issued a tax quality control guide in February. Is there any discussion of doing peer review on tax practices outside of the voluntary guidelines that have been published?
Jim, I'll defer to you on this one. I would assume at this time it would take another type of peer review committee because this is basically for A&A, but Jim?
It is not currently being discussed at the AICPA.
Okay. Any other questions? I know everyone's ready to leave. They're afraid they're going to be the one that gets in front of somebody getting out the door. If there are no other questions, Janice says she's not coming back. She is going to, she's wrapped up. But I want to say that I think we've had an excellent conference this year. I appreciate all the folks' participation, because without your participation, the way we set this conference up was to have participation, because this was for you. This was not anything about the CAC. We didn't do this for the CAC or for NASBA. We're doing it for the participants that are here today. But I do think we've had a good conference, and I hope to see all of you all 2 years from now when we have the next PROC conference. As far as I'm concerned, we're adjourned.